Welcome to the Bookers Alliance podcast, where we hold the pencil and the pencil is power. Coming at you right now is your host, Marky Mark, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Frank Donaldson. Join us as we discuss the ever-changing landscape of professional wrestling. So hang on tight, you jabronis, and enjoy the ride. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining today's episode of the Bookers Alliance podcast. Come on in, bring yourself up your ringside seat, get your popcorn, your drink, your whiskey, get everything you need, because today is all about the ins and outs of AEW.
Well, I'm going to get my tea and crumpets ready over here because we're fresh off a trip from London, trying to get adjusted to the time change and all. Whew.
Yeah, that was hell, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a lot. So we had to get back to reality first thing Monday morning, and apparently we hold out till Germany this weekend, and then we're right back in all out next weekend.
Please tell me the producers at least got us on the card just racking up these frequent flyer miles.
I mean, I hope they get us out of coach. I'm not trying to. I don't fly commercial to Europe twice in a month. That doesn't work.
that don't work for me.
Now we at least got to hit business class this time. I mean, we got to upgrade now, and we're getting our followers up. We're getting our mojo behind us. It's time to move up now. We at least got to get to business class.
There you go. All right, so maybe this week's sponsor will help us get up there to business class. We got JD Jack Daniels.
Oh yeah. Trusted old trusted advisor.
The old trusted advisor.
Oh yeah.
Except this is the single barrel variant.
Yeah.
A little bit stronger, a little wiser,
stiff.
A little stiffer.
Yeah, a little stiff. Watch it, Liv Morgan.
Blue Chews.
Single barrel got a little stiff this week.
All right, so twofold. We got to thank our sponsors, but then we also got to pay our condolences to Mr. Sid Udi. Sid Vicious,
Psycho
Sid Justice. So
master,
yeah, so
and ruler of the world.
We have lost a good one. Sid, you will be missed, sir, and thank you for all the years of entertaining us on TV.
All right,
cheers to you, sir.
Powerbomb for Sid.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Sid for a minute. Let's talk about what he brought to the business. One of the biggest, most agile big men we got to see on TV. And when I say big man, not in the case of like King Kong Bundy or, Andre the Giant.
He was that new version of big man,
right,
where he was kind of like in that Undertaker-esque era where the big men weren't, the big Hulk and Giants. They were, more muscular, more defined, more agile, more able to move, things like that. Sid kind of came right in that same time.
Yep, and he is, I must admit, he is one of those guys that really just flew under the radar when it comes to popularity.
Yeah.
Because this man was a multi-time world champ.
Yeah, for both
companies.
Yeah, for both organizations. He was two-time WWE champ, at least three-time WCW champ. But
headline a WrestleMania with with who was
against Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, he headlined one against Undertaker too back at 13, but he did 8 against Hulk Hogan, and right. I mean. That was the big one, the return of the Ultimate Warrior, the botched Papa Shango interference, all that nonsense happened there. But, I mean, Sid was that guy. He was kind of in that transition, though, where they were moving from the big hulking giants like Andre and guys like that to fight Hogan to, like I said, that more agile, more applicable wrestler. And, and he had longevity, whereas he was still there at WrestleMania 13 to main event again, so...
Would you say that if you wanted to see a modern day Sid, would you say that you would look at like a Braun Breaker or a Wardlow, so to speak?
Probably bigger. Those guys are more like Goldberg size. I mean, right. Sid's more what like Big Cass should be, right? That's kind of where that's what if in the same build of. Or like, let's say not going back so far, but far, not all the way back to Sid's day, but like Test, guys like that. Yeah, predecessor for like Diesel, he kind of the guy that ushered in that type of big guy, that more athletic big guy when Diesel was younger, of course. As Nash got older, the athleticism kind of went away, but he's still built like a brick house.
True.
I don't know if he can run at all though, because if he takes 3 or 4 steps up the stairs in that quad, that quad might fall short on him.
All right, so let's talk about something real quick before we get into AEW. We gotta talk about some WWE stuff before we get into AEW. First things first. The tsunami through the car.
Talk about athletic big men. Good
Holy
Lord.
shit.
That was memorable. That's something that we're going to see on Bronson Reed's highlight reel forever.
Yep.
That'll always be played as long as he's an effective force in WWE. That clip will be played for the longest.
You had your haters. You had your people. Oh, they gimmicked the car. They did this, that, and the other. Blah, the fail.
No shit. You don't want nobody to die on Monday night. I mean, I don't know how many people who are out there hating have actually fell through a car. I also don't know about how many of them had a 350-pound guy jump on top of them on a car. But yeah, they hopefully they gimmicked it, because if they didn't, one of those guys ain't gonna be around for a while. So,
but the imagery of him landing on top of another human being on top of this car, all 4 windows blowing out. Dude, that was just amazing. And it was a callback to the old Attitude Era parking lot brawls.
Yeah, where they go out there and battle right in the parking lot. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see that match come down the road with those 2 guys. That parking lot brawl somewhere. And, with today's technology and, we've seen cinematic matches and things like that. I mean, they could even gimmick it up to make it better than it would be, things like that. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see any of that happen. That would be a new take on an old twist.
Yep. I also want to talk about something else real quick. Randy Orton versus Gunther getting ready to happen at Bash in Berlin. I feel like this might be losing some steam. What do you think?
I mean, they're trying, but there's a lot of other stuff going on in WWE right now that's just overshadowing. It's kind of the same problem we've got on SmackDown when we were talking about Roman's return is overshadowing Cody's title reign. I mean, the Punk McIntyre feud is kind of overshadowing the heavyweight title on Raw. It's not intentional, but it kind of is what it is, right? I mean, hey, what can you say? The most interesting feud doesn't always have to be for the title. The problem is when that's happening on both channels, I mean, that doesn't leave a whole lot of leeway for, your world champions to be the guy.
Right. I know that, Gunther was already over in Europe when he cut a promo on Instagram. And I mean, I get it, but that was the go home show, for the event. To me, just having Randy out there in a promo kind of just let some steam out.
Yeah.
It didn't work for me, but
Work for you, brother.
Didn't work for me, brother.
Didn't work for you, brother.
But I will say I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great match. It will be probably on par with their first match when they had, in the tournament. But I do see Gunther coming out on top.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no way he's that transitional that he's a 1 month champion. I mean, that ain't a Triple H booking thing. That ain't his style to book for a month. He's gonna have a reign. He's gonna have a nice reign. It'll extend out through a few pay-per-views. He definitely ain't going out in one pay-per-view. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah. The last thing that I want to talk about real quick, WWE related. Got to talk about what's going on with Cody and KO. They are teasing like hell a KO turn as far as heel turn.
Yeah.
Albeit for this match, okay, I buy that.
Yeah.
But one thing that I don't want them to continue to do with KO is flip-flop him like Big Show.
So that's the lowest hanging fruit possible, right?
Yeah.
Like KO doing a heel turn in this and turning on his partner is the absolute lowest hanging fruit possible. And I don't think they need to go that way. There's a lot more creativity you can do with a guy like KO in a feud with Cody. It doesn't have to just be, I'm going to turn on him. I'm going to try and take his title. He ain't going to win. So, it'd be all for naught anyway. If that's where they were going, though, slow play it. I mean, tease it again at the pay-per-view, slow play it, make KO really, really make it buy in, and then do it like Royal Rumble or something like that.
I tell you what, I wouldn't mind them teasing, and this might be a very unpopular opinion. I almost wouldn't mind them teasing Cody doing a heel turn. As far as I know, but I'm talking about like as far as you know how he went kind of savage with the steel chairs on AJ, right, in that match. I would almost like to see him kind of go there in the KO match, but then kind of realize at the last moment where he's going and then stop.
So I get the thought of it. The only thing, like, there's no back history for Cody to do that with KO, right? Like, they've always professed to be friends. And with Cody being the whitest of white meat baby faces right now, it probably isn't going to be the pull for him to tease the heel turn. If they had bad back history, like if they, if they had a blood feud or if KO came after his family like AJ did, or even like The Rock, something like that, then I could see Cody, teasing the line, not crossing it, but teasing it. But I mean, KO's honestly been nothing but good to him so far. Him turning, that would really put a stain on Cody, and I don't think that would be where they're trying to go.
So what if they did something like that though, and then he didn't turn, obviously, and then him and KO kind of finish the match, however, and then they continue this though, and then KO does the turn, kind of like, hey, you were gonna go there and I didn't want to, but you kind of pushed me there.
So down the road, yeah, I could see it. I think for it to be effective though, it would have to be more subtle. Maybe like what we saw on SmackDown, where KO accidentally bumped into Cody. Yep. Maybe we do it the other way, where Cody's going for, like a forearm or something like that. He hits KO in the back of the head, and and then KO rolls over and he's the only one standing there, just to put that seed of doubt in KO's mind. Well, then they both got the seed of doubt. So then at that point, you can see a turn. But like I said, as of right now, he's only been good to Cody. And, if Cody would have turned on him for just that, I mean, that's instant heel heat. That's instant heel behavior for Cody. And I don't think with the merch sales and all that they're even going to start leaning into
Probably not.
Now they're riding this out, and they want every little kid in the world to only want to meet Cody.
All right. Anything else WWE related we want to talk about before we get into our subject?
Well, I mean, there was that Liv Morgan segment there on Monday. It wasn't even really that effective, but I mean, she was there and that was good, and I wanted to watch it. So sign me on up for that. More Liv, the better.
Yeah, Daddy Dom is definitely playing the card for Liv. You kind of see where this is kind of all playing into where she's helped him twice now beat his deadbeat dad, quote unquote.
Deadbeat dad.
So, I mean, is this a match that's going to continue as far as Dom and Liv? Yeah, they're going to play this for a long time to come.
Yeah, the Terror Twins and against Daddy Dom and Baby Liv. Yeah, I mean, that story writes itself.
Yeah.
With the outside interference and all the other stuff. It works in the fact that it gets Damian Priest out of the title picture. He should be focused on, hey, I want to win my title back. But it's like you don't even need for him to go after the title right now, because you understand his plight of how the Judgment Day turned on him, and Dom and Liv are rubbing it in his face, so he wants his revenge, and then down the road he can work on the title. So it worked to get him out of that. The problem is, like you said earlier, putting Randy into the story kind of came out of nowhere. They had the one clip of the bad pinfall at King of the Ring. Right. Now all of a sudden, they're in this hated feud where they're out trying to destroy each other and talking bad about each other. And I mean, it's almost like politics, right? And it almost looks like how the debates are going on the commercials. And I get enough of that on the commercials.
Just a smear campaign.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily need to see it on my wrestling, but I get it. And they're trying to build heat where there wasn't really any. So I understand it. But yeah, no, I mean, like you said, they let a little bit of steam out on Monday. The match will pay off, but hopefully it's a write-off. Like, they can go ahead and let Randy go back to SmackDown where he's supposed to be, and probably get involved in the Cody thing again and work on that angle to carry you more into the WrestleMania season. I think that would be a better place to put Randy than, what he's in now. I did like his reference to the old World Heavyweight Champion, our favorite belt. So I did appreciate his reference of saying how he was cool. The guy that retired that belt. And now here we got a new belt with a new lineage. So it took Randy Orton a year for somebody to come over and explain why that belt isn't linked before. They should have done that day one. They should have had Randy in that type, but Randy was injured. So unfortunately, he wasn't available to do it, but we needed him to do it because he was the one guy that could have done it. Yep. But he did it now. So, hey, we take it for what it is and we move on.
All right, let's get into our topic, the ins and outs of AEW. So this past weekend, we had All Out.
All In.
All In.
Yeah.
All Out.
All In. We had all that. So we had All In this weekend, and we did not see Jay Briscoe wrestle this weekend. two things that you've done in regards to All In that I'm sure we'll get to at some point, but let's clarify just in case anybody's listening. Jay Briscoe did not wrestle this weekend. But Marky Mark definitely called him out. He was like, "Oh my God, here comes Jay Briscoe," and I said, "Oh my God."
There was no resurrected from the dead.
As he said it, I'm like, "God, is the Undertaker coming with him? Like, what is happening right now?" I was like, "Oh my goodness."
Hey, if anything was happening and believable in wrestling, that could happen.
It ain't W. I mean, if it was going to happen anywhere, it would happen there. But I get it. The display came up on the entryway, and you got happy and saw. I understand it, but whew, no way I was getting out of this podcast without bringing that up. That was hilarious.
So if y'all ever want to watch a live stream with us during one of these events, y'all need to do that because it gets hilarious.
Yeah, we'll have to get a press room at the next one. We'll just sit in the back and watch it, so we can get our live experience, but still broadcast for you guys. But yeah, some of the stuff that we say, because I mean, there's always libations as we watch these pay-per-views, and the deeper we get into it, the more shallow the bottle gets. So
that's what Dom said.
Yeah, a lot of things get real funny as we go down the road on that. But that was one of them that had to get mentioned. Absolutely.
All right, so pretty good sized crowd in Wembley Stadium, 50-something thousand people, which is not the mark that they hit the last time. But then again, who's counting?
It also wasn't arranged for the amount of people. The seating they had last year was geared for 80-some thousand. This year they only geared it for, I think they said 54,000. I think they said they sold 53,000 seats.
Yep.
But so I mean, ton of seats. That's another benchmark for the fact that they can't get 5,300 people in any stateside events. Give a damn what the title of it is. They can't get 5,300 in any building right now. The fact that they could go overseas and get 53,000, hey, that's great. Good stuff.
They're going to test that next year, though.
Yeah.
Next year, we're not in London.
Not for All In.
Not for All In. We'll be in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, we'll be in Dallas, Texas. Where are we going to be at in Dallas?
Who knows?
Probably in the Maverick Stadium. I think damn sure ain't gonna be at Arlington. They ain't gonna be a Cowboy. They ain't gonna be at Jerry's house. I think Jerry would have laughed if they had even brought it up. First of all, that's a Jaguars guy.
That's 10,000 more seats than Wembley actually holds.
Yeah, easily.
So I mean, and that's just seats. That's not counting floor.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
There's actually 100,000 seats in Cowboy Stadium.
Yeah, and they ain't doing that.
No.
WWE couldn't even do 100,000 Cowboy Stadium, regardless of what they advertised. Regardless of what they advertised, they didn't even get to 100,000 back in WrestleMania 32. As they say, there may have been 100,000 people in the arena, but as far as paying to go to the event, they were in that 80-some range. I mean, they were up there, 75, 80.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the matches that were on that card and what we thought. Let's start out with probably the biggest match of the night. Let's start out there.
Mercedes Moné and Dr. Britt Baker.
No, you
DMD.
You didn't hear me, Frank. I think you need to turn your hearing aid up. I said the biggest.
Oh, I thought you said the hottest. No. That match was smoking.
That wasn't even the hottest. I mean, the hottest had to be Tony and Mariah.
That was okay. I mean, that was good. So if we could have got a 4-way dance in there, that would have been nice. That would have been epic.
Yeah. Now let's start out talking about the championship match. Let's start out there.
Fair enough.
Let's start out there. Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan, as JR likes to say.
Me and JR, we both. So I called it Bryanson. Because I mean, I wandered into trying to figure it all out real fast after laughing at JR and called it Bryanson. So Bryanson wrestled Swerve, and yeah.
So first, the entrances were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Everybody singing Final Countdown for Bryan Danielson's entrance. Swerve getting his live version of his song kind of played as he came down to the ring. Also, Swerve the Eighth. I love that moniker. Yeah, there you go. Eighth AEW champion.
The eighth.
Also a playoff King Henry the Eighth from England, as far as one of the most tyrannical kings that's ever been. Even had the heads of I had to go back and catch this, but he even had the heads of every wrestler that he's beat so far on a spike on his shirt.
I remember they said something about that during the event because they mentioned Samoa Joe and Christian, and we'll talk about Christian later.
But so that was cool. His presentation was awesome.
Kind of like Melo's jerseys.
Yeah,
I like Melo's jerseys better, though.
I do like that better.
Yeah, that's especially when he drops them all in the rafters and there's like a dozen of them up there. It's like, woo, that's impressive. But I get the idea.
So let's talk about this real quick because this did not go how Marky Mark thought it was going to go.
No, absolutely not. I was going to say, let's talk about so if we rewind the tape, let's go. Let's play back what we said last week. So Marky Mark said that there was no way in hell Bryan Danielson was winning that world championship, and he would be retired.
I said this was going to be his last match.
Yeah, and the first thing I said when I heard last match was because the last thing we need is another damn last match. We've had too many of them in the last year. Mm-hmm. We didn't need another one, so I was definitely against that from the beginning. No way it could be his last match. Absolutely not. So as the match transpired, did we ever waver on these positions?
No, we did not. I stuck to my guns to the end. You stuck to your guns to the end. And in the end, Frank prevailed as far as what was going to happen. But
because I write this stuff, this is what I do. I'm head booker.
Mark Henry, this is what I do.
This is what I do. I'm head booker over here. So we may be the Booker's Alliance, but I'm head booker.
So as far let's talk about the match though itself. The match was great.
Yeah.
The match was phenomenal.
Which we knew that would.
Yeah, I mean to have Bryan Danielson put on a craptastic match that's you have to go all the way back to the beginning of his career.
Yeah, I mean, you got to dig deep for him to throw out a stinker. And I mean, on that stage, he didn't get to do Wembley last year, so this was like his first Wembley. Yep. This is the biggest crowd he's seen probably since WrestleMania when he got stacked and pinned by Roman Reigns. Oh, sorry.
Put you one up.
Yeah, sorry, I wandered for a minute. But I mean, honestly, it's probably the biggest crowd he's performed in front of since that match.
Yep.
No way he was going to go out there and lay out a stinker. Just absolutely not. And same as what I said, no way he was going to go out there and lose and let his career die on Tony Khan's watch. Tony Khan's wrestled with the Daniel Bryan figure in his basement for the last 25 years. No way in hell he was going to go out there and let him lose that match on the grandest stage of AEW's All.
So let's talk about, first things first, the match itself. The match was not a very technical. You didn't get a lot of submissions. You didn't get a lot of holds in the match. It was a very confrontational, very physical match.
Yeah.
Which Bryan can do with the best of them, even though he is also known for very technical wrestling.
Yeah. I think that leads more into Swerve.
It does lean more into Swerve because, Bryan's went on record as saying one of the only people that he can flow like with in a technical state is Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah, that match couldn't happen.
Right. So the match was very physical, but also there was some drama, some intrigue in this match.
Yeah.
First things first, with Swerve taking Bryan over there in front of his family and just stomping him in while telling his daughter, like, I'm sending him home to you.
So what was the first thing I want to drop? The last thing you need to do is have Swerve anywhere near your wife if you are involved in the wrestling.
Yeah,
that is not a good idea.
Miro, R.I.P. Adam Cole.
Exactly. I mean, the last thing, and I mean the last thing you do is bring your wife around where Swerve's going to be. If you're going to be in the match with Swerve and Swerve's going to be kicking your ass, you don't bring your, 9-level, 10-level wife to the event to watch it happen, and you're asking for trouble. Right now, you're swimming in Dom territory right now, so you don't do that, right? That's like if Swerve and Liv ever bumped out into each other, out in the wild. Oh hell, man! Like everything falls apart at that point. Right? The promotions give up. I mean, at that point, they just run off and do their own thing and wrestle on the indies.
So you had that kind of drama and intrigue built in. You also had the part where Swerve was doing the yes kicks.
Yep.
And Bryan was kind
of hulked up.
He kind of no-sold him in the moment, but he was also looking over there at Birdie and Buddy and Bree and going, I love you.
Yeah, that's what
it's going to be okay.
That's what Hulk would have done back as he would hulked up. That's what Hulk would do. And Bryan watched a lot of Hulk Hogan back in the day, so he learned it well.
But, as far as how it all ended.
So I hated the ending. Hated the
Did we need Hangman?
Absolutely
No,
not.
we did not.
Hated that part.
Oh.
I understand it, and I think kind of what we just talked about how Damian Priest has an outside venture, so he doesn't have to immediately run after the title. I think that's why, because now Swerve and Hangman can kind of do their own thing away from the title for a little while, where they kind of finish their feud, and then Brian can go off and defend the title, do whatever he's going to do with it without Swerve being on his tail.
Right.
I get it, but you don't put on a match like that with, you don't have that quality of match in front of the family, bring all that emotion, all that intrigue. I mean, we know they're shit for storytelling anyway.
Right.
They had a good one, right? They were telling a great story in the match. And then you find a way to fudge that up too. That's so AEW.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff when I say, damn, AEW, you had me and then you let me down. Not let me up, but let me down.
Yeah.
That's where you let me down at. You don't do that. You just let the match be over. Hangman could have came out after the match
exactly.
and done whatever he wanted to do.
Exactly.
Right? But they could have done that on the ring side, for one camera to catch while Brian was doing his full celebration in the ring.
Yep.
Whatever, right? There were so many other ways to go, but Tony Khan, what were we just talking about? Low-hanging fruit?
Yep.
Tony grabs the lowest possible hanging fruit ever of, well, we'll have a little interruption from Hangman, and that'll be the twist in the match. Ugh.
And then, after the interference, it distracted Swerve. Brian came in, he gets the knee shot, and then Swerve kicks out at 2 1/2, and
they fudged all that up.
What was that? And then he hit. And now, granted, some people are making the argument, yeah, but it's Swerve. He's the guy that kind of went shell on Hangman. It's going to take more than one knee.
Yeah, but Swerve did the job anyway.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're going to do it anyway, do it at the height of an emotional moment.
Exactly, and that was because as soon as he hit him with that knee, everybody, including the Booker's Alliance, popped.
Yeah.
We knew. We're like, that's it.
The crowd was up.
That's
they were ready for it.
And then
you got the crowd on their feet. They're ready to go. They are counting with it like 1, 2. Well, then you let him kick out. Now the fans are gassed. Now you sit down and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe what I see. And then 2 minutes later, you wrap it up with a submission.
Yeah.
What the?
It didn't make sense.
What the hell
he hits him with another knee
and
and then submits him. And what do they call that submission? Like the cattle?
It wasn't even the label lock. It wasn't even his submission.
It was something completely different.
They called it cattle something or another. They should have called it the cattle prod because it definitely sucked all the energy out of the crowd. It definitely sucked all the energy out of the crowd. They should have called it that.
So outside of the funky ending, great match. I agree. Looking back at it now, I can see why Brian took the trophy home. But I have a real sneaky suspicion we're going to get a title vacancy.
I'm hoping
Now, granted, we are recording this before Dynamite, and Brian is supposed to have an announcement on Dynamite.
Yeah.
We are recording this before. It will not air until Friday morning. So if it happens, we called it.
Yeah. Well, you called it. I don't think that's happening.
You don't think it's happening?
No, absolutely not. I think Brian's going to come out there. I think his announcement's going to be that he wants to wrestle his match, whatever the match that he's dreamed of, to defend his title at All Out in 2 weeks against blah, 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 whatever.
Maybe he runs it back with Swerve.
Maybe, but then why do you do the Hangman thing at All In? Besides the fact that you're Tony Khan and you don't really know what you're doing.
Maybe, just maybe, you're right, and he's going to call his dream match, and maybe, just maybe, a certain person is medically cleared and we just don't know it.
So
maybe
I've heard a lot of words that he was medically cleared. I heard a lot of things that Kitty's on the way back, right?
Because remember, they fought to a draw.
Yeah.
The only time that they've touched.
They've never had a definitive winner.
So maybe
that could be, because and apparently that's what Kitty's put out there, is that he's ready to go.
Yep.
And he's supposed to be coming back sometime.
Yep.
So that would be the time, right? That way you can take Kitty into the next step of whatever you're going to do with the title.
And obviously where that goes, if Daniel or if Brian really is going out and we put the title on Kenny, and we didn't get a vacant title, but we put the title on Kenny, Swerve's got his own thing going on with Hangman.
Yeah.
do we get the Kenny Ospreay for the belt?
I mean, that it could be, right?
Yeah.
The only problem is, doesn't Ospreay already have like 4 belts or something like that?
He does.
I mean,
which is the one of the main problems of AEW.
Are we going
to
explain our conversation about the Continental title and the International / American title, or are we just going to let that one lay and let people wonder about that?
We'll let that one.
All right, that could go anywhere. That could take up the rest of our time. I had you going on that.
You did have me going. All right, so we've hypothesized about Brian's next move, Swerve's next move. We got to talk about the other match of the night. That
Mercedes
was really cool.
Moné and Dr. Britt Baker.
Check
DMD.
Check your hearing aid. I said the other match of the night.
Oh, I thought you said the ugly match of the night, because I was going to say, short of them two physically, like the aesthetic, the match wasn't all that wonderful.
No, it wasn't.
Those two do not necessarily work well together. They could have used maybe 1,000 more reps before that match. I mean, I got a place right here. I mean, the bedroom right upstairs is always available.
Blue Chew,
right?
Our
Get 2 women in there, let them grease them up a little bit, let them wrestle around.
Oh, you're going back to Divas era.
I mean, I'm charging $99.99 for that pay-per-view, buddy. Absolutely. I'm like Money Mayweather in here. I'm charging way too much. And I might fire the ref in the middle of the whole thing and bring out a new ref for it. Who knows?
Producer, did we talk about this new maintenance plan? Is this how we go now?
Hey, we're letting it all hang out. This is all in and all out. I'm all in on that match.
All right, let's talk about MJF and Will Ospreay. Let's talk about this
that
match.
Happened.
Yeah, that happened, and damn, did it happen. What a
they
hell
put
of a
on
match.
a show.
They put on a show, but damn, AEW, if you're going to come out there and spray streamers everywhere,
yeah,
have a plan.
Clean them up.
Have a plan.
Or understand how they're going to stream when you do it. We had streamers all throughout the match. Clumps of streamers all throughout the match. We had to send out text from the back to take clumps of streamers away from the match as the ref spent the majority of the match sweeping up. Remember what I told you, as they dropped confetti and streamers and everything else. I'm like, God, whoever the maintenance crew is on this, they're going to hate their job in the morning. Because they're like, look at all this shit we got in here to clean up. Ugh.
But Ospreay and MJF put on hell of a match. It wasn't the hour-long match that we had on Dynamite.
Thank God.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded that, but it wasn't that match. It was shorter, same level of physicality, same level of story. Very intriguing to watch it all unfold. Happy to see that Will Ospreay walked out as the champ, but there was something that bugged me in that match. The one thing that bugged me the most. I want the actual heel MJF back. I feel like we get him on the mic, but we don't get him in the ring.
No, I mean, so again, same thing what I was just saying about Cody and merch. At some level, they still want to sell MJF merch, right? So
they want to sell him damn scarves.
So you don't want to alienate everybody. You want him to be. They're trying to play him in that Stone Cold role where he's a bad. He's an anti-hero type guy and all that. But that's not MJF. MJF is a squirmy chicken shit heel.
But there was no reason for him to tease that damn kangaroo kick. I mean, there was just little stuff.
At this point, right, it got over for a minute when he was with Adam Cole. At this point now, I get it. It's meant to antagonize the fans. Like, oh, remember when you liked it, but now you hate it, so boo the mess out. Nobody cares. I mean, that's at this point, that's going to wander itself into that go-away heat we were talking about, where people are just like, it's stupid, it's annoying, it's dumb, stop. And that's where, you pull that out every once in a while. Every match he wrestles, he pulls that out now. So it's like, the shine is off the road.
Yeah, and I mean,
this point.
He's almost there, but I think I want the heel that I saw in there against Cody. Like that heel. That's what I want out of MJF. I don't know if we
ever get that heel.
I don't know if we get it back or not.
The only way we get that back is if he has somebody like Cody to do it with. You got to have a super over baby face.
Maybe that is Ospreay eventually. I mean, maybe it does happen. Maybe, it used to be Kenny Ospreay and now maybe it becomes MJF Ospreay. Whoever that Joker is to the Batman, that's who I want MJF to come back as.
Well, you got to find your Batman.
You got to find your Batman. Yeah. But as far as that match was fantastic. Great storytelling in the match. Both guys athletic as hell, and in the end, right person came out on top.
Absolutely. I mean, MJF had done the whole changed the title over. I mean, he wore the Lex Luger outfit out there.
Yes, he did.
He wore the Apollo Creed entrance, garb to the ring. He did everything a heel was supposed to do in a foreign country.
All we needed was living in America playing.
If James Brown had been around, he would have came out there and greased it up and played that. I mean, all that would have happened, but he did everything a heel is supposed to do on a foreign land to let it be known that he was going to lose.
Yep.
Even all the way to the title, changing the title over. And then they brought out which one is that? The international title?
International.
Yeah, that one. Then they brought out the international title, the correct international title,
right,
and all that stuff. So, I mean, yeah, I think that was probably the most obvious. You know how we always say AEW has the worst kept secrets in the world?
Yep.
That was one of them, right? Like, there was no way that wasn't going down that way, but it worked. I mean, because the match quality was going to be good. The story was what it was, kind of, it wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible. It wasn't the worst they could have done. We'll get to that later, but nonetheless. But I mean, the match was great. The story was decent. I'll take it.
All right, so now let's talk about DMD.
All right,
CEO.
CEO. I think we were the only ones saying it besides the song.
Yeah, that was it.
Did anybody in Great Britain care about any of that match?
No, that if anything, there was two problems with that match. First thing first, match placement.
Yep, big time.
Anybody that tried to follow Ospreay MJF, that would have been a great place for the coffin match.
Yeah. Are we gonna? So was it a casket match because they had a casket, or was it a coffin match because Darby does the coffin drop because they buried him they put him in a body bag and then put him in a casket, but they call it a coffin match.
Maybe it was a casket match.
Oh, well, there you go. Or a casket match. Why not? Why not? Whatever it was, it took like all of 91 Undertaker and just melded it into one and just made it happen in a match.
So the only thing that I found notable about Mercedes and Britt's match was that funky
aesthetic, man.
Not even that.
Damn, they look good.
The funky power slam that Britt did to Mercedes off the top rope.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was funky. And I don't know if that was planned or what, but it looked cool.
Yeah, it worked itself out.
Yeah.
But I mean, unfortunately, that was probably the highest of high spots for that match.
Yep.
The rest of the match just kind of felt like, I mean, I think I even said it during the match. It feels like Mercedes is just going through the motions.
Yep.
Like she knows what a match is supposed. We're not saying good match. We're saying she knows what a match is supposed to be constructed like, and she just kind of flowed through a typical match. I mean, it wasn't even like a Charlotte Sasha banger like we used to get. It was just kind of Mercedes going through a match. And I don't know if that's because Britt and Charlotte, maybe she needs someone of that higher caliber to pull it out of her or what, but something was missing in that. And I don't know if they're gonna continue that angle or if they're just gonna call it one and let those two girls go their separate ways. But either way, if they're gonna continue it at all, they need more ring work than they do mic work. Especially with them two, because they damn sure don't need that much more mic work. No, God no.
All right, so let's talk about the other ladies match that has a great story building into it, and also I don't think the story's over.
No, and that was actually a good match. That had intrigue, that had interest. The payoff of the story was great. The right person won again, as we said. The right person won to further that story. So I mean, they're still I don't know who's working on that story. Whoever the hell it is, they need to be head booker right now. Yep. They should be promoted. Damn. If it's Tony, then I don't know why he's putting all his effort into putting all his eggs in one basket. He can spread that shit around and let everybody else enjoy something good. But that story's quality. They're doing some good TV there, and I like it.
Of course, we're talking about Mariah May, Tony Storm.
Mariah May.
So Mariah May, for what they're doing with her character, granted, are they ripping off Tiffany Stratton? Yeah, maybe.
Borrowing.
Yeah, they're borrowing. I mean, but again, borrowing is where everybody gets in the professional wrestling industry. Without borrowing, you don't have Dusty Rhodes. You don't have Hulk Hogan.
I mean, all of the right. Dusty Rhodes admittedly borrowed from Junkyard Dog.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan admittedly borrowed from superstar Billy Graham. Yep. Everybody borrows. That's kind of a thing, but I don't know if you want to borrow while the other person's on TV every week. It's kind of like, well, now it's like plug and play. Like, oh, okay, we see this on Friday. How can we implement this on Wednesday? Oh, shit.
Yeah, but
we don't implement it the same damn week.
As far as her technical ring work, you got to do some work there. There's some work to be done.
But ain't nobody put Mariah May as the world champion for a technical ability. No.
So that is strictly a kind of a all eyes on me product.
Yeah.
That is I mean, you could tell where he's going with that. That's a Trish Stratus product. Yeah.
It's the marketing involved with that. You put her on a billboard. Oh, hell, you go sell some tickets because somebody's coming to see that.
Where they're lacking maybe in the wrestling part of it, the storytelling, she is a fantastic storyteller. And for her to be able to carry this story, turn on Tony, become this what was her, the glamorous Mariah May? Is that her new thing?
I think so.
But the way that she's doing this, carrying around the high-heeled shoe with the blood still on it, it's all working. It's all fantastic. But you can't have one without the other. Tony Storm you got to have your yang. And if she wasn't working with Tony, I don't know if we'd be talking about Mariah May in the same breath. Exactly.
Tony, obviously the veteran out of that group, carried that story. And I mean, her facial, her reactions, her physical reactions, the way she sells, even after, I think I heard somebody else saying this about the pay-per-view. Usually after the match is over, the guys and girls just walk to the back and just call it what. I mean, Tony played that character all the way till she was off the camera.
Yep.
Like she played it all the way into the locker room. After the loss, she skipped and she cheered and she did her cry and her English wave. She played that character fully, where everybody else, even Mariah May, after her celebration was over, she just took the belt and kind of wandered off. Tony was still in there playing the character. She's fully invested in that character, and that's why it's so damn interesting. Now because she cares about it, so it makes us care about it.
Here's what I want to see happen, though. I want to see the character continue to evolve.
Tony's character?
Yes.
You want to see her go into color?
Yes.
Oh, well, there you go.
I want to see her go into color, and I also want to see it change.
She got color.
She got color. That's
where this whole angle started. She got color.
So if we have played up the 1920s, 30s, 40s, the Audrey Hepburn, that whole character right there, that the era that she's been in, right?
Yep.
Let's move her forward.
Like WandaVision. I love it.
Yes, like WandaVision.
And that dude could be her vision. What's his name?
Luther.
There you go. Luther is her vision. There you go. Luther is her vision.
No, I want to see her, though. I want to see her transition into stick in the movie era. Stick with that.
I want to see her go to 70s.
70s.
I want to see her with like a big afro and like some bell bottoms.
So
and
either
a big
that,
funky vest.
Either that, or go into. She's kind of hinted at it already. She wore the all black with the black eyebrows, the whole Quentin Tarantino-esque look that she had that one night when she came back. So full on out. The way Quentin Tarantino did Kill Bill, that was based on 70s. What they call grindhouse era movies, right? Where Uma Thurman became this badass villain, and the yellow and black was actually throwback to Bruce Lee in some of his movies that he played, right?
Yep.
So if she was to come out in this Uma Thurman-esque character, dude, that's just the next level of evolution.
Right, yeah. I mean, and just like WandaVision, it could carry over instead of, 10 episodes. She could get 10 years out of that gimmick.
I mean, she keeps going.
She could ride one gimmick a year, and hell, she could ride that thing all the way out.
Yep. So that was All In, All Out. All we know, All Out. We got Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale in the match. That's about it. That's all we know so far.
But I think so, and I think we spoke about it before. I just want to revisit. I think that's where Daniel Bryan actually calls it.
Yep.
I think he wrestles in that, event, probably drops the title to whoever of his choice would be. And I think that's where they can move on from there. I think that would be the best way to end his career if he was going to do it. Because, again, winning the title and just letting it go, that's so not a Daniel Bryan thing. I feel like if anybody would want to do business the right way, it would be him. So I don't want him to Montreal with like Bret Hart. I want him to lay down on the mat, put his shoulders down, take the 1, 2, 3 and move on.
So let's close out with this note. Pop question for you. How did it feel to have a show where we actually gave AEW some love?
So it's about time, right?
It's about damn time.
Yeah, I've thirsted for that for a while.
Exactly.
All I've been saying is, I don't want to hate on AEW. I don't want to say they got a bad product. I don't want to talk badly about them. It's just what they give us week in and week out.
Yep.
But you got to admit, they usually come through on pay-per-views, and this was just an instance of it where they had a pay-per-view, and I think the highlight of it is on TV, because we're conditioned as current wrestling fans, we look for story on TV.
There you go.
You look to get me to the match, and AEW's not strong in that. But the actual matches, AEW is great at. So when a pay-per-view comes and all we really have to focus on is the match, the in-ring product, they excel there.
Right.
It's just getting to that point.
There.
So now
the weekly television.
Right. Now they've got 2 Dynamites to put out before another pay-per-view. Them 2 Dynamites are not going to live up to what All In was. All we really needed to do, though, is transition us to All Out. And then we can watch All Out and see if it has any payoff like All In did. Or if it does like last year and you get kind of the B squad where everybody who didn't wrestle in the first week wrestles the next week. And it's like, the guys that didn't get invited to England, you get to wrestle this week. Awesome.
And that's the problem with having these 2 events so close together.
Yeah. All the people that were wrestling in London on Saturday ain't looking forward to All Out.
All right, everybody, that's our show for today. Thank you for listening to our thoughts on AEW's recent event in London. Reach out on our social media platforms. Drop us a line. Tell us what you thought. If you thought the show was great, if you thought it sucked, what would you have changed? But let us know. And with that, everybody, we bid you adieu.
And peace to the master and ruler of the world.
Today's podcast was produced by SBP. You can find our podcast on all major podcast platforms. Also, connect with us on our social media accounts. Search for The Bookers Alliance on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X.